Hey everyone, it's Enryu, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Nilah Guide series. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the hardest part about playing Nilah, her lane phase. Nilah's lane phase is the only stage of the game where the enemy can keep her under control because of Nilah's insane scaling as well as her bonus EXP passive. In a sense, you can view Nilah's passive as something that makes up for her range in the bot lane. It allows her and her support to stay even with the enemy in a losing matchup, and allows Nilah to be extremely ahead in a winning matchup. This is definitely the most broken passive you can find in an ADC champion. However, there are many instances where this passive isn't that useful because Nilah heavily relies on her support in lane. Most bot lane matchups primarily depend on whether your support can play properly or if the enemy bot lane messes up really bad. As ADC players, we cannot mind control our supports to play perfectly, but I will teach you how to recognize winning fights and lane opportunities to allow you to excel in your own games with Nilah. Let's start off with the most important thing about laning as Nilah, wave management. As Nilah, you always want to try your best to get every minion in the first wave in order to guarantee that you are able to hit level 2 as soon as possible. If you survive to level 2 with minimal HP plus minion losses, you already won half the lane. This is because when you are playing against decent players, they will always punish Nilah level 1 as she has 0 range and 0 tools to get on top of the enemy. All the enemy have to do is just stand in front of the lane and just zone Nilah whenever she tries to take CS. In most cases, just sit back and relax while remembering that you have a bonus EXP passive, so losing some minions is okay. Just don't take poke while waiting for the enemy to push into your turret. If you're afraid of being dove, make sure to hit the minions under tower for level 2, then level W to avoid dying to the dive. Make sure to practice CSing with Nilah to take full advantage of her passive. I generally don't recommend fighting level 1 at all because at the very best you'll be trading summoner spells, but you and your support will definitely be taking more damage than the enemy. This is because when you're taking damage going into the enemy and you don't kill, they will also be attacking you as you walk out. And as a result, because Nilah is a melee champion, you wouldn't be able to walk up or farm anymore and you'll be vulnerable to dives. Level 2 is the earliest you should try to fight, and you should only look for fights if the enemy missteps, such as in this clip where the Zeri walks up too far, or if your support manages to CC the enemy with either a hook or a knock-up. A lot of times in lanes where you feel like it's impossible to fight, just wait out for either support players to mess up. In this clip, the Renata goes onto my Soraka because she was out of position, but we can take advantage of this as we get to free hit the enemy while they focus down our support. You can always use your support as bait. However, you should always keep in mind that if the enemies have summoner spells, play as if you are trying to burn the summoner spells, then play for the kill afterwards. Do not all in expecting the enemy not to use anything and accept their fate. Level 3 is the safest fights you can take as Nilah's W ability is extremely OP early on for fights. Do keep in mind that you should only use your W in critical moments as using it too early may cause your enemies to wait it out while running and then you will be vulnerable. I generally try to save W until I am about 30 to 40% HP so I can bait the enemy into thinking they can kill me. And also try not to fight too often in lane before resetting because your spells, W and E, take a lot of mana. Just farming with Q doesn't take much mana at all. In this clip where Nunu ganks us, it seems extremely doomed, but one of the most important thing about playing Nilah is that you shouldn't be afraid to limit test and fight. I fight to the death here, and if I didn't make a mistake of not using my health potion earlier, this would be a triple kill. So make sure to use your potions while fighting, it can make a big difference. If you can, always try to freeze wave since combined with Nilah's passive, it makes your advantage in lane much bigger than it is. There are often situations where Nilah and her support is level 6, whereas the enemy are level 4 because they base at a bad timing and you got to freeze. So how do you recognize a freeze? Refer to this clip where the enemy has no mana. Even if Zac has good conditions, the Ezreal cannot stay in lane as we just recalled and are coming out of base at full conditions. We freeze this wave and the enemy bot lane loses a full cannon wave whereas we lose nothing. Recognizing opportunities like this will allow you to snowball even faster in lane. After freezing, you can always stack up your wave, then push it out, and recall when you have enough gold for your items. After level 6, the lane completely changes as you can constantly utilize your ultimate as a tool to take over fights. In this clip, I see my teammates getting caught in river, so I decide to get level 6 before going. And we end up winning the fight off of that. You can also constantly use your ult after dashing onto minions to burn enemy cooldowns or getting free kills if they don't have flash. That's pretty much all the basic fundamentals for laning as Nilah. If you have any questions or suggestions on what topics I should cover in the next video, make sure to leave a comment below. I appreciate the support, and I'll see you next time.